What's up, Commanders fans? As this team continues to build towards something special, the front office is leaving no stone unturned. Every move, every decision is being made with one clear goal in mind: to get better, to become a serious contender. And guess what? We've got some major developments that could shake things up once again. And this time, it involves the possibility of a trade involving our starting running back, Brian Robinson Jr. But before we dive into it, take a second to smash that like button. It really helps the channel grow and shows your support for the grind we're putting in to bring you the latest and greatest from Ashburn. Alright, let's break it all down. Now let's be real. Last season, Washington's ground game was dangerous. Between Jaden Daniels' dynamic mobility, Austin Ekeler's savvy veteran presence, and Brian Robinson Jr. pounding between the tackles, it was a three-headed monster that gave opposing defenses nightmares. Cliff Kingsbury dialed it up beautifully, mixing zone reads, draws, misdirection. You name it. But like we all know, the NFL moves fast. You can't sit still, not even for a minute. What worked one year might not work the next. And when you've got a starting running back like Robinson Jr. heading into the final year of his rookie deal, tough business decisions have to be made. Could the Commanders really trade Brian Robinson Jr.? That's what the latest reports are hinting at. According to Heavy.com's Tony Adame, Cleveland should be looking at Robinson as a potential trade target. And that actually makes a lot of sense. The Browns are likely parting ways with Nick Chubb after his devastating injury in 2023, and they're looking for a semi-reliable back to step into a bigger role. In the proposed scenario, Washington would get a 6th-round pick in return. Pick 179, to be exact. And while that might sound like a modest return, it would actually bump the Commanders' total 2025 draft picks to 6. That's a big deal, considering how much capital we've already spent this offseason. Remember, Adam Peters already gave up a future second-rounder to land Laramie Tunsil. That leaves little room for flexibility come draft day, unless a move like this helps replenish some of that lost draft stock. Here's the thing. Brian Robinson Jr. has been solid. He's tough. He runs with power. He's been dependable. But in a league that's constantly valuing younger, cheaper, and more explosive backs, you can see why this might be on the table. He's in a contract year. If Washington lets him play it out and walk in free agency next March, they risk getting nothing in return. This way, they get value now and open up opportunities for other guys on the roster, like Chris Rodriguez Jr., who quietly had some impressive flashes last year, or even Jeremy McNichols as a rotational piece. And don't forget, there's talk about the Commanders eyeing Omarion Hampton in the NFL draft, a younger, cheaper back who could grow alongside Daniels and fit into this new identity Dan Quinn and Kingsbury are building. That brings us to the bigger picture. Jaden Daniels has changed the entire timeline of this franchise. His rapid rise is why we're being aggressive. That's why Peters went out and landed Deebo Samuel. Why he made the Tunsil trade happen. Why this offense has suddenly become one of the most talked about in the league. Everything, and I mean everything, is about surrounding Daniels with the right pieces. And if that means moving on from a guy like Robinson Jr. to add draft capital or shift to a more explosive scheme, that's the price you pay in this league. And speaking of change, we also have to address what former Commander star Jonathan Allen had to say after joining the Minnesota Vikings. On Chris Long's Green Light podcast, Allen admitted something that caught people's attention. He said, and I quote, "I feel like I've been cheated my last 8 years." He was talking about facilities and the infrastructure in Washington compared to what he's seeing in Minnesota. Now let's be fair. Allen also gave props to the Commanders for turning things around under new owner Josh Harris. And he said the culture last year was the best he'd ever experienced in DC. But that comment still stung a little for fans. The truth is, this franchise was neglected for years. Subpar facilities, poor training conditions. We all know the history. But under Harris and Peters, things are changing. There's still work to be done, but it's clear the new regime is serious about creating a world-class environment for players. So, Where does this leave us? If the Commanders trade Brian Robinson Jr., it'll be a clear sign that this team is looking ahead, not just to 2025, but to building something sustainable beyond that. A sixth rounder might not seem like a huge return, but in the hands of a front office like this, it could become a hidden gem. Robinson would likely get a fresh start in Cleveland, and maybe even a chance to be the guy in that backfield. Meanwhile, Washington can continue reshaping the offense around Daniels, Samuel, Eckler, and potentially a new rookie back to be developed within the system. And let's not forget, the team still has a few more big questions to answer before training camp. More roster movement could absolutely be on the way. This offseason has been nothing short of relentless for the Washington Commanders. New leadership, new coaching staff, franchise quarterback locked in, and a revamped roster on both sides of the ball. The front office, led by General Manager Adam Peters, has made it clear the goal isn't just improvement. The goal is transformation. The Commanders want to win now, and they're not afraid to make bold moves to make that happen. But one of those bold moves? Yeah, it's got the NFL world talking, and not all of it in a good way. I'm talking about the 3-year, $45 million contract the Commanders gave to defensive tackle Javvon Kinlaw with a jaw-dropping $30 million guaranteed. That deal has raised a lot of eyebrows around the league and drawn some heavy criticism, most recently from NFL analyst Gilberto Manzano of Sports Illustrated, who didn't hold back in his take on the signing. Now, let's be real. Kinlaw's name isn't exactly lighting up Pro Bowl ballots. A former first-round pick in 2020 by the 49ers, Kinlaw has battled injuries, inconsistency, and a fair amount of skepticism. Through 5 seasons, he's flashed some of the raw physical tools that made him a top prospect coming out of South Carolina, but he hasn't exactly lived up to the hype, and definitely hasn't put together a dominant season just yet. Manzano said flat out that Kinlaw hasn't proven to be a consistent starter. He even compared the deal unfavorably to the Grady Jarrett signing, calling Kinlaw an average pass rusher who struggles against the run. And to be fair, Kinlaw's stat line supports the criticism. Just 5.5 sacks in 5 seasons, and an injury history that makes teams cautious. So the big question here is, why did Adam Peters make this move? Well, there's more to this story than meets the eye. Let's break it down. First off, this isn't just a flyer. Peters knows Kinlaw. He helped scout and draft him during his time with the 49ers. He's had a front row seat to Kinlaw's growth, his struggles, and, most importantly, his potential. And sometimes, that kind of inside knowledge is exactly what allows you to take a calculated risk when others are too quick to walk away. Let's also consider the context. The Commanders want to get bigger and nastier in the trenches. The Eagles have been bullying the NFC East with their offensive line for years, and Peters clearly wanted to add a counterpunch. Kinlaw is 6'5", 319 pounds, with freakish athleticism. If he stays healthy, and that's the key if, he can be an absolute problem inside. And here's where things start to come together. The Commanders aren't relying on Kinlaw to carry the D-line. They've got Darren Payne and rookie sensation Johnny Newton, arguably one of the most exciting young defensive linemen in the 2025 draft class. That rotation, that's scary. It allows Kinlaw to play fewer snaps, focus on high-impact situations, and stay fresh throughout the season. It's all about maximizing value and minimizing wear and tear. And speaking of fresh starts, Kinlaw has reportedly committed to dropping weight this offseason to improve his explosiveness. That's a big deal. It shows he's buying into this opportunity and understands what's at stake. So yes, $30 million guaranteed is steep, no doubt. But if Kinlaw even comes close to realizing the potential scouts saw back in 2020, this could be a steal for Washington. Especially when you consider the alternatives, chasing mid-tier free agents or hoping a rookie DT is ready to fill the massive shoes of Jonathan Allen, who departed this offseason. Now, back to the critics. Look, it's fair to say Kinlaw hasn't delivered so far in his career, and it's absolutely fair to question the money. This is a league where cap space matters, and overpaying can haunt you if things go sideways. But here's the thing. The Commanders didn't make this move out of desperation. They made it from a position of confidence. Peter saw something in Kinlaw that he believes can be unlocked with the right environment, the right rotation, and the right coaching staff. And that's another huge factor. This coaching staff. Defensive. Coordinator Joe Witt Jr. is building a unit that's versatile, aggressive, and smart. And head coach Dan Quinn, he's known for getting the most out of his defensive linemen. Look at what he did in Dallas. That track record, paired with the front office vision, creates the perfect storm for a guy like Kinlaw to thrive. Now let's pivot for a second. This signing isn't just about stats or pressure rates. It's about mentality. The Commanders are showing the league, and their fans, that they're no longer playing it safe. They're making aggressive bets on upside. They're trusting their scouts, trusting their coaches, and building a roster that's designed to compete now, not 3 years from now. And while we're being honest here, if Kinlaw does figure it out in Washington and becomes the wrecking ball he was projected to be, this deal becomes a bargain. We've seen it happen before. Players change teams, change schemes, and suddenly everything clicks. And the Commanders are banking on that being the case here. All right, Commanders Nation, now it's your turn. What do you think about the possibility of trading Brian Robinson Jr.? Would you be open to it, knowing his contract is expiring? Or do you think Washington should hold on and ride with him for one more season? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read everything you guys say, and I love seeing the debate. Don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed this breakdown. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next big Commanders move. We've got a huge season ahead, and you're not gonna want to miss a second of it. Until next time, stay loud, stay proud, and let's go Commanders!